Hello and welcome to this fourth session of the PZ Conservation Preservation online series. In this session, we'll be demonstrating a range of housing styles that will suit the need of your collection. In the description box below, you'll find a downloadable PDF where you'll find all the suppliers and materials we mentioned.
We will start each section by explaining the tools and materials you'll be requiring and then walk you through a step-by-step of how to make each housing style. We're going to start with the more basic, moving through to the more complex. Most of what we're going to be talking about will be for bindings, but we've added in some for flat paper objects as well. So let's get going. So this large binding has detached boards on both the front and on the back. And so to prevent them from being lost, I'm going to tie them to the binding using this archival tape. What I want to do is measure out enough tape so that it goes around the binding and can be tied in a bow on the forage. So just giving myself enough for a bow, extra for the spine, and then again. Don't worry if it's too long, because we can always cut it down later. I want to cut it at an angle to prevent any fraying on the tape. And that is placed like that, with enough to tie it on this side. And then again, on the bottom edge, because I don't just want one, I want two tapes, because having a tape in the middle, like a belt, still allows loose boards to rotate and potentially slip off and cause abrasions to both themselves and the books on either side. So I'm going to do the same, extra for the bow and for the spine, and then again. Of course, you could cut two pieces at the same time, it might be easier. Then lifting up, slide it so that it's nice and flat still on the bench. What you want is the ribbons to be flat against the boards of the book, so that there aren't any folds that could cause abrasions to either this volume or the ones either side of it. And I'm just going to swing it around to show you like that. Tie in a single knot on the foredge, because you don't want to see the bows on the spine side. And a bow, nice and tight, but not so tight that it might damage the boards. And again, making sure the boards are in the right place. And then trim off if there is any excess. You don't want to trim off so much that it prevents you from retying it again. Just check on both sides that the boards are in the right place, that it's nice, the tape's nice and flat, which it is. Sit it upright and adjust if necessary. And the boards are now not going to go walkabout from the text block. So that one's nice and complete. For this smaller binding, both the boards are detached like the larger one, and the spine is as well. So this has a little bit more information to tell me what the binding is, and I want to keep it all together. So I'm going to do the same thing with this smaller one. This one's going to be a little bit more fiddly because you've got another piece that you need to think about keeping together. So having an extra hand would be helpful. Trim there. And then one of a similar length. Again, trim off at an angle. Now, with this binding and bindings that look quite similar, you'll notice that there are ridges. I show you. There are ridges on the spine. Well, there was one here, 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 and here. That's part of the binding process, and the raised profile is actually quite useful when you're taping up. And what you want to do is to ensure that your tapes are going in the panels, not directly at the head and the tail of the volume, but the next ones in, which ensures that anyone using this volume can't just pull the tapes off to use it, which would cause damage. So I'm just going to place the volume on with a little bit more to allow me to tie a nice bow, hopefully not too fiddly. And then the same underneath, just slide it under in the right place, because of course now I can't move the tape up and down the spine because of those ridges. Okay, so with this one, I've made the tapes slightly too short, which has made it too fiddly to tie bow. So that's all right, don't worry about it. Keep the tapes to one side because you can use it for something else. And cut yourself some longer ones. Just wiggle it around to make sure that it's in the right place on the spine. Now these are long enough to tie and I can cut the excess off. Just check that everything's in the right place with a single knot and a bow, and the same on this side. That's a bit longer, so I'm just going to lift up, pull the ribbon, make sure the tape's nice and flat, and a bow. Lots of excess, so I'm just going to trim that off, but not too much so that I can't retie the bows again. And very handily, the labels for the title and the author are in the centre of the text block, so the ribbons aren't obscuring the information there. And there you have 2 volumes.